YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a video. I am so grateful and appreciative of the community that we're building, my fellow career savages. You guys are leaving so many comments down below, and these videos are in response to some of the advice that you are seeking. So make sure you leave comments down below so I can keep making videos like this in response to what your needs are in your career. Today, I'm going to be talking about salary negotiation. I have talked about this before, and I'll link that at the end of this video so you guys can watch it. But there are two main tips for salary negotiation that I'm going to reiterate here today, and then I'm also going to share my own personal experience with a failed salary negotiation where I completely undersold myself, and it had me in a very upsetting situation when I figured out what other people around me were making. So stick around and watch the entire video. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my channel. Like this video as well as share it. The two main tips for negotiating salary is one, never be the first person to say how much you're looking for. That's number one. And number two, always go anywhere from 10 to 20% above the national average. The reason you don't want to be the first person to give a number out is, let's say what they're willing to pay is anywhere from $100,000 to $120,000. And you come in as a fresh grad or, someone who's more green in their career, and you're like, okay, well, at my old job, I was making $60,000. So at this job, I would like to make $90,000 or $80,000. You now have just undercut yourself by a whole $30,000, probably even more. And obviously, if you say, oh yeah, I only want $90,000, they're gonna be like, okay, yeah, like 90,000, sure, no problem. And then they just saved all that money because you didn't even price yourself at what they were willing to pay. So that's why I always say never be the first person to give a number. Now, sometimes recruiters and employers can be really annoying, and they'll do this whole ping pong table game where it's like, oh, you'll say, I'm open salary-wise. And they'll say, well, what is open? Like, is there a number you have in mind? You'll say, I'm willing to listen to whatever the company has to offer. Then they'll come back again and they'll say, okay, well, we just want to gauge where you are salary-wise, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. For me, I stand my ground and I'm like, what is the position offering? Period. You don't want to tell me? That's fine. I'll apply to another job. So just don't let them bully you or bulldoze you into giving a number, because you could be setting yourself up for an exponential decrease in pay that you already deserve. And the second reason I say go 10 to 20% above the national average is because it's more comfortable for you, to be honest, and it's a good place to start. So that way, at least you're not getting underpaid. So like, I always look for positions and what the average salary is in the county that I live in, as well as the national average for the position I'm applying for. So I think they're like salary.com does, the 25th percentile, the 75th percentile, the 90th percentile salary-wise for a bunch of different positions. So I think that's a great place to check. And that way you can gauge a number that you want to give if you really have to give it, or you can gauge what they're paying you if it's way below the national average or way above it. 10 to 20% will give you a little bit of wiggle room. So let's say the national average for this job is $100,000, and you go 10%, which is $110,000, and then 20%, $120,000. So you say, you're okay in your mind with receiving $100,000 because that's the average pay for that position. You go into that negotiation and you're like, I want $120,000. Sometimes I say even go more, be like, I want $130,000. The company, if it's way above what they're willing to pay, they're gonna come back and offer you probably the highest amount of money they had for that position. So if the highest amount of money they could give you is $110,000, because you said 120 or 130, they're gonna be like, well, all we can offer you is 110. Even then, when they say all we can offer you is 110, keep trying to push. If you have other job offers, leverage those job offers. Be like, okay, well, you wanna offer me 120,000, but somebody else is trying to offer me 130. But I really like your organization. Don't lie though, because if you don't end up getting the job because of pay-wise, you're out completely. Like, now you don't have a job at all. So those are the two basic tips that you should follow in salary negotiation. Never be the first person to give a number, never. And always go 10 to 20% above the national average. And I keep emphasizing this 10% to 20% above the national average, because now I'm going to tell you my own personal experience, because I was a fool. I'm not gonna say what the organization is just for confidential purposes, but I was in negotiation phases and I was at a job that I was over it. Like, I was done. I did not care anymore. I didn't want to be in that environment. They didn't care about my professional development. I was over the organization. I just didn't care. Like, I had reached the highest of heights with them. When I got reached out to by this recruiter and they were talking about pay wise, I had in my mind how much I already wanted to make, but I was so miserable at this last job that I was like, at this point, I don't care what you pay me. Like, just get me out of here. Get me out of here, get me out of here. I can't stay here. As long as it's in the 6-figure range, I'll take it. It doesn't even matter. So they came back and I said, well, this is how much I want. And I went about 10 to 20% above what I actually wanted to get paid anyway. So if they came back and gave me that number, I would have been okay with it anyway. So they came back and said, we can't do that. This is the minimum of what we can do. And I was like, what? No, like, I don't want that. It was still 6 figures. But I was like, no, this is not what I was expecting, even in the range that I gave you. You guys have come way below what I expected. But they kept saying, you know, this is all we can do, but don't worry. Like, at the end of X, Y, and Z time period, most people get an increase and blah, blah, blah. So in my mind, I was like, you know what? Okay, no problem. Took the job offer. I did, like the person said, I was getting, you know, salary increases here and there and stuff like that. And it was great. But I noticed that colleagues around me had negotiated way better than me. Even I had a friend who I wanted to work for the same organization and I referred them to the organization. And when I was talking to her, she didn't end up becoming a part of the company or anything like that. But when I was talking to her, she was telling me what they initially offered her to start. And I was like, huh? That was so much more or less than what they offered me. And I was confused by it. But I think it's because they could tell that I so desperately wanted a change in my job and that I would leave. I was like, and I made it apparent as well, and that's my mistake. I should have never made it apparent that I was so desperate to leave that they could have paid me anything and I would have gone. That was a big mistake. So learn from my mistakes and don't let these companies or recruiters know how you're feeling about your current place of work. And it seems like something that's so obviously, like, it seems so obvious, like, don't do that. But I just wasn't thinking. And I was operating from such a place of emotion that I wasn't thinking like, okay, they might shortchange me because they know that I'll take the job regardless of what the pay is. So, I mean, in the end, everything worked out. You know, I'm still doing very well for myself and I've learned a lot throughout my career. So now going forward, if I ever enter into a negotiation phase, I know how to move. And I'm so comfortable with where I am in my career that negotiating with other people salary-wise is very comfortable for me, because it's like, you're either gonna pay me what I want or I'm not gonna join your organization. Having that confidence as well is very helpful. The other tip I wanted to give you guys is, even if if a company initially doesn't give you the pay that you want, you can have them write it in your contract actually to do like 3-month salary renegotiation. Because sometimes companies will say, oh, we can't pay you this now because we haven't made money from X, Y, and Z, or we're in the process of doing this, or we're in the process of doing that, so maybe in blah, 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 blah. You can have them write that in your contract. And then at 3, 6, or 9 months, they have to renegotiate what you've done for the organization, your deliverables, all that stuff, and they can then pay you what you initially wanted. I did that with one company, and I actually never held them accountable for that renegotiation. In my entire time with them, they only gave me and I'm gonna calculate it because it's so important how absolutely tiny this raise was for all the work I did for them. They gave me a 2.3% raise after a while with them. And they were supposed to give me, at the 3 months of me starting working for them, they were supposed to renegotiate my entire salary to pay me what I was originally making at my previous job, because I took like a $25,000 or $30,000 pay cut. And they were like, okay, we'll renegotiate your salary in 3 months. They never renegotiated my salary in 3 months. I never got paid anything additional. So again, that's one of the main reasons. Another reason why I left, just because, you know, I didn't like that. That is all I have for today's video. I hope this was helpful for someone. Just remember those few tips. 10 to 20% increase when you're doing the negotiation phase. Never be the first person to give the number. Have them write a renegotiation clause in your contract as well, if you're interested in that. If you guys need any help with your salary renegotiations, or you want to hear more about my salary experience, head over to careersavage.com and book a consult. I have a 15, 30, and 60-minute option. Don't forget to leave comments down below and subscribe. Until my next video, guys, bye.